Let's walk through today uploading prescription files into the Blue Vantage display. Prescription file formats for Blue Vantage really can do two different ways. One, the preferred method, which is a KML file format, very universal, been around for a long time. Climate, Ag Leader SMS, Granular Ag Studio, all those guys support the KML file format. We also can support a shapefile format as well. Specific information, getting into the details of the breakdown of that structure, especially for the shapefile, I would encourage you to go to Kinze.com and our resources tab under Blue Vantage. There's a good documentation that walks through boundaries and prescriptions on the website for those that are making prescriptions. In this case, I've made some prescriptions already. I'm going to import them into the Blue Vantage display. Of course, it doesn't need to be hooked to the planner. In this case, we're not hooked to the planner. We're in our dock station, but we're going to upload and put them into the Blue Vantage display. Currently, today, we utilize a USB for this function, so we load them onto the USB drive. They don't have to be in a specific folder or anything of that nature. Once we put the USB drive in, we come to our Manage tab on the home screen. On the lower left side, this is prescription and boundary files. So you would come to the same location if you were importing boundaries as well. If we go to prescriptions and boundary files, it takes us to our Manage tab. Of course, no files are imported. Our icon is highlighted because our USB is in there. If I would take my USB out, that icon will go away. So if we try and tap on it, it says no USB detected. If I put my USB in, any RX files that it finds will bring it up into this item. Now, you'll see two different things on this window. First of all, the first several prescriptions that I have on the top are just basic shape files. Again, we can read and utilize these prescriptions to, of course, provide seeding rates, and it will auto change row by row as we come into them. It just doesn't provide the specific level of detail like the KML does. The other item to note is sometimes if you put them in there and it says too many polygons as an alert, we need to go back and merge those polygons together. So we're around that 1,500 polygon range is what we support from a prescription map standpoint. If I scroll up a little bit, you can see that I do have one KML file format on this USB, and you can just see all of the other information that it brings in. So with KML, it will make a pre-made task for you. It will give you the grower, the farm, and the field, and it will automatically put that in your list of grower, farm, and field. So just provides a little more information into it, provide the hybrid that you have as well. Of course, shapefiles being a little more generic, you just don't get that information, but perfectly fine to use that as a prescription file. So the shapefile just doesn't give you as much detail as the KML file does. We can still utilize it for a prescription map, just doesn't get you the detail. So you got a couple options, but just be aware we support both of them in the mix. Specific details, go to Kinze.com, look up that integration guide. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we can certainly help you with prescriptions. Once we have the list, and of course there's only 4 in here, I'm going to select all of them. We can do prescriptions and boundaries at the same time. So if you're doing a whole field or a whole farm setup, we can do them all together. We hit the checkbox. It'll tell us file transfers complete. We hit OK, and it will build them into the list of the tablet. Once you do that and import them, you no longer need to leave the USB in the dock. So prescriptions, boundaries, etc. will stay in the tablet until you manually delete them. No need to leave the USB in the display. Once you have those into the tablet, we want to select them to start planting. Turn training mode on for this example. Once training mode comes on, of course, we're going to go into our plant icon in the upper right-hand corner like we're going to start a field. We're going to make, in this case, a new field. And in the center where our maps live, we're going to tap on Maps, and it's going to allow us to select our boundary, seed prescription, fertilizer, or insecticide. We do have a feature down here that says sort by nearest. So if you have a lot of fields, a lot of boundaries in there, you can click on, and it will sort, of course, wherever you're located to the closest field. That one will be at the top of the list. Now I realize, again, in training mode, these are going to show different prescriptions. Remember, we imported 4 of them initially. In this case, because we kind of switched to training mode, it only shows 1, but all of yours will be listed here that you imported in. We would select the prescription map we're going to use. We're going to hit our checkbox here, and you can now see that there's a checkbox on seed prescriptions. You can see the population box says RX as well. A feature that we've added to Blue Vantage, though, recently, if we go to our population box, RX is selected. You then can enter, as we've always had, a GPS lost rate. So if you lost GPS as you're going through the field, what rate would the planter try to continue to plant? We also have an out of RX rate. So if the prescription map is maybe made slightly smaller than the fields you're actually planting, or the field has been changed or modified or whatever it might be, and it's larger than the map, the prescription map that you've created, you can enter in a map or an out of RX rate to compensate for that, and of course it will plant outside the prescription map as well. The last item is this RX adjustment part. So another, again, feature we've added is the ability to adjust prescription rates for prescriptions that you've already entered into Blue Vantage. So if we come in here under this edit button, it shows you the original and the adjusted, and we can move all the rates up or down depending on time of year. Maybe you changed hybrids or you changed the decision on what rates you want to install or plant onto that field. We then can adjust. In our case, let's say we want to go down. We don't want to plant as much. We can do it by a percentage, and you can see all of them are adjusted. Same rules apply if we want to go higher and we want to put more on because maybe it's late in the season for beans and we need a little more on because we're later. We can do that as well. Once you make this adjustment, so let's say if I'm going to go down and I'm going to hit my check to accept my changes, it's 90% here. I hit my check to get back to my task setup, and you now can see that my RX is now at 90% of the original file that was in there. So gives you flexibility with prescriptions already made in the tablet. Realize a lot of things change throughout the season. Give you that flexibility to really fine-tune that prescription for your application. And again, all done on Blue Vantage. No need to keep the USB in there, and everything's there until you delete it.